Brittany. So, today I'm gonna do a back in time watches video, and today I'm gonna share with you a movie memory of the first time that I've watched A Christmas Carol, the 1951 version. And yes, there are many different versions of A Christmas Carol, and I've seen, I think 5 of them. I think 5, but the one I remember most, and the one I remember seeing a lot, was actually A Christmas Carol, with the 1951 version, the one with Alistair Sim as Ebenezer Scrooge. And now this isn't a movie I exactly saw when I was quite young, very little, but I remember seeing it for the first time, I would say when I would say 13. And so when I did first watch this movie, and telling this, classic Christmas story by Charles Dickens, and so seeing this movie for the first time, it was just, very new to me. And the thing is, I didn't even know, because even before I did watch the movie, I didn't even know of the story of A Christmas Carol. But until I did watch this particular version of the story, I I grew to liking it, and it's just one of the versions I like most. And seeing Alistair Sim playing Ebenezer Scrooge, I would say he fit very well for the part. Like, he was the perfect choice for Scrooge, and not only did he fit for the part, but he just really, I think, could say the best way to put it, he pretty much embodied the character himself, because it's like when you watch his performance, you are convinced that, okay, this is Scrooge. There's no doubt about it, because the way he's acting, and it's just so well done, it's just so very convincing that, you really are pulled into the story itself and with the character, and you really feel like, wow, like, this character is just cold and bitter and just mean and harsh. But he only became that way because, as we can see later in the movie, that he has gone through a lot, because his mother died by giving him birth, and then later, because then he also lost his sister, the same way how his mother died, and so pretty much his father blamed him for his mother's death. So that's just sad. And you don't go doing that. Like, you don't go blaming on a child for their mother's death because of how she died during childbirth. Like, that's just terrible. Like, to put on the blame on someone like that when it's not really, when it's not at all their fault, and plus, that was something that was happening around that time. And so anyway, but there are so many things that he had went through, from losing people, from losing those that were close to him, that I think because of that, he just became bitter from the hurt and pain that he was going through emotionally, that he became bitter and cold. and harsh. So, and that's why he stayed like that. And of course, that's just awful, you know. But at some point, he does change his ways. But as I was saying, that this was the first version I saw of telling this story. Um, and so as I was watching it, of course, like I said, it was just very new to me because I had never heard of this story before. I didn't know it was based on a book by Charles Dickens. I didn't know. So this was just like I said, this was just something new. And I thought, and it really pulled me in. And I thought, okay, like, what's gonna happen? And so as I'm still watching it and seeing that he was visited by his late friend and partner, Jacob Marley, and he had came to warn him. To me, even that performance was just very well. Forgive me, I forgot the name of the actor who played Jacob Marley, but he did an amazing job playing that role, even if it was just the ghost of Jacob Marley, because um, that alone, that performance was, I would say, just like really good. And at the same time, it kind of scares you a little bit because of how he's, I think, in pain and in sorrow, and he can't move forward, and he is chained, by these chains. So he's not at peace. So that was just, that I would say that was like a good, in a way, haunting performance. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I would say that somewhere along that scene, it gets a little eerie, especially with the music. Yeah, especially where the window's up and then he's pointing to Scrooge that way. And then when you hear the music is what makes that scene a little bit more eerie, haunting in a way. It really does. And it's in my head right now. Like, I know it so well that, oh, it's just a bit scary when you hear it. But yeah. And so, and of course, to see the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future, but they're showing his past, the present and future. So when they have come to visited him and to pretty much like show him like what has passed, what's happening now in the present, and what will be in the future. And it's like they're pretty much letting him know, like, because of this, these were the choices that you made, and this is what happened. Like, these are the things that have happened, and they can't be changed, they can't be altered. And what's going on now, and they're showing him that if he doesn't change his ways, that the future will get worse. And not just for him, but for those around him, for those who have been in his life. Like, things will get worse even for his other work partner, Bob Cratchit, how things will get worse for him because his youngest son, Tiny Tim, will die. And how how other things will get worse, and how even after he's passed, people will be talking about him, but not in a good way. They'll be pretty much talking really bad about him, and they'll pretty much be saying, oh yeah, I'm glad he's gone, and that's just awful to say that. So, so like I said, upon seeing this version, it just really pulled me into the story and everything, and seeing uh, what the Christmas ghosts were showing him of past, present, and future. I thought, well, they have a point. So of course I would say I didn't really complete hated the character of Scrooge. It's not like I hated him like this horrible villain, because he wasn't a villain. He was just misunderstood, and he had been through a lot. He had went through a lot of hurt and pain by the things he went through in his life, that he just became bitter, cold, and hard and harsh, and became greedy with money. And so that's why he became that way, because of the things he went through emotionally in his life. So it's not that I hated the character, but I felt bad. Like, I didn't like he became that way, because of what he went through, but at the same time, I understood. Like, I understood just a little bit more to his character, and understood why he became that way, and see how at some point in his life that he did met someone and fell in love, but because at the time he was still young, that he was becoming probably more greedy. So she had, you know, I forgot her name, because in this version her name is Alice, but there's another version where her name is Belle. So when it comes to the book, I don't know what her real name is, whether if it's Alice. Yeah, Alice or Belle, because I don't know. But in this version, her name is Alice. And so I think they had been together for, I don't know how long, maybe a year, maybe 2 years, I don't know how long, but it just shows at some point at one Christmas where they're still together, but then they're talking, and she's letting him know that a golden idol has replaced her, meaning the money, because he became greedy. And so, he's like telling her, well, I haven't replaced you, and that, he hasn't really changed towards her, and he's saying that he perhaps had gone wiser, but he hasn't really changed towards her. But that's the thing, because he became greedy, him becoming greedy wasn't becoming wiser. It's just him becoming greedy, which leads to becoming, thinking more about his work, more about himself, and more about these other things that he's worrying about, only on himself selfishly, but not about her, not about anyone else. And so, because of his greediness and selfishness, that's why she ended it with him. She had broken up with him, and so, because even after she breaks up with him, she tells him, um, well, and I know this, she tells him, may you be happy in the life you've chosen. And so she's letting him know, because at some point she does tell him, if he would seek her out now, knowing, you know, um, knowing she's not rich, would he do anything to win her? No. But the thing is, I think because knowing what he had lost, that he could have had it. I think he could have had it all. Had her. He could have had a good marriage if he had changed his ways sooner. You know. At that time. When he was still young and everything. Even though he was just, I think, starting his business and everything. but he didn't. So he could have had more, he could have had something better, but no, he still decided of, his money, the job, and everything. So yeah, that just led to even more bitterness and cruel and very uncaring and insensitive towards other people other than himself. But I think that again, I don't think he really. I think he only cared about his money and cared about the things he needed to do. But then again, I don't think he really loved himself, because the thing is, you have to love yourself first before you can love other people, and that's just how it is. So I think that's what he was going through too. Because if he really had loved himself, he would have had the love of others, and would have been more open and, caring and giving. But since he wasn't, that's why I think he didn't care about others, and that he just didn't really love himself. So that's just what I think. But so yeah, so when seeing this version, like I said, it was just new to me, and yeah, I was just, drawn to it, and just seeing how the story played out when he was visited by the ghosts of Christmas past, present, and future. Now, when it came to the ghosts yet to come, known as Ghosts of Christmas Future, that has always scared me, like startled me, because you see, like, this tall figure in the, where is, okay, this tall figure, and there is, like, in this, it's dressed like, the best way I could put it, Father Death. No. But yeah, like Death, where you see this long, hooded black cloak. And you don't see the face, but you see, like, this long, fingers, but they're white. Like, they're actually very pale white. And the Ghost of Christmas Future doesn't really say anything, but the only thing it does is just, which is very eerie. And this presence to the Ghost of Christmas Future is just very ominous. And I think the reason why there's no face and it doesn't speak, I think it's because it is this, like, this, I think it's, the Ghost of Christmas Future, I believe, is this very different entity, which I think when you don't see it, I think it just leaves, like, this mystery, like this unknown feeling of what the future is and what may unfold, what may not be. So I think that's why. I mean, I don't know, I just get that feeling, because when it comes to the Ghost of Christmas past and present, you can see that they look like people and they interact with Scrooge. But with Ghosts of Christmas Future, it's like this tall figure of this whole different entity that just feels very ominous, and it just feels like the unknown. So it just gives off that feeling, and there's no face. It's just a tall figure with this long black hooded cloak. You don't see the face. It doesn't speak. And the only thing it does is just that, like, it stretches out its arm and hand, and it just points out to Scrooge, like that. But I think that's why, the Ghost of Christmas Future just looks eerie in that way because it's supposed to be like the unknown of the future, and just showing him these are the things that maybe if you don't change your ways, this is how the future will be, and not just for you, but for your co-worker Bob Cratchit, and how things will get worse, not just for you, but for other people that have known you. And so even when it shows him where his grave is at and there's this headstone with his name on it, he's like crying, and he's telling him, I'm not the man I was. And so, at some point he does come to realize that that he had changed because of what he went through. But I think but it's just that he does come to realize that he does need a change, and so he does. But yeah, seeing this version, I was just like, wow. And I think I was just amazed and just thinking like, wow. And so I think when it came to the part where he's crying and he doesn't want to die, and he's saying that he's not the man he was. And so when he wakes up and he's back on his bed and things are different, well, actually things are the same, but yet he's changed now completely. And so he does things for the better. He becomes more of a better person. So yeah, seeing this version, I was just like, wow. And to me, I find it very moving, and at the same time, very touching. And I thought, this really teaches a lot. Like for anyone who watches this movie or any other version of the movie, it just shows like the things that you do and say can impact on someone, whether it's in a negative way or in a positive way. And you got to be careful of what you do or say, especially to those that are around you and those that are in your life. And so I really love how it really shows that message. And it just shows, I would say, especially when it comes to the Ghost of Christmas Future, it just shows like if you don't change now, and if you don't change your ways of this or that, things are not going to get better. And this is what will happen if this goes on. And it just shows that of what will be if you don't change. But if you do, and you do things for the better, or you act on things that are more things for the better, then the future won't become this, because the future will be much better, and it'll become better because of your actions, or because of what you do or say, that things will become even much better. And so I really love how it shows like the moral message to that story. And honestly, I just love hearing that story every year, like around. Was that a bug? I'm sorry, but just now I thought I saw something went this way right here on the screen. So I don't know if that was a bug that flew down, or I don't know if it was one of these things, like the little things that somehow fell off the tree and flew down. I mean, it could be, but I don't know. I mean, did you saw that? Because I saw something and I'm not sure what that was, because it looked like a bug. But I'm not sure if it was a bug, because it could have been one of these things, but I'm just not sure. But yes, overall, I enjoy this version of A Christmas Carol, and I enjoy watching it every year, and I just love the moral message to this story because it's very important. And it's, like I said, to me, I feel like it's very important. And it just goes to show that it's true if you don't change your ways. Like for anyone who probably is like that, and if they don't change, things will not get better in the future. But if they do change their ways and become a better person, and they are, and if they do things with, saying things that are much better, and doing things that are better, then yes, the future for them and the people around them, things will get better for them in the future. And that is just so true, completely true. And I see that, and I see the importance of that, of the morality of the story to A Christmas Carol. So it's just a great story uh, to to know. Well, it's a great story to read and to watch, no matter what version it is. Yes, I enjoyed this version, and Alistair Sim, he did an amazing job as Scrooge, and I enjoy watching that version every year. And I just enjoy with everything else. I like the music, I like the rest, I like the rest of the performances of the cast, and just everything. Like, it's just done so well. um so I hope you enjoyed this um video. So that is all for today. And to see more like this, to see more movie content, please subscribe and click on the bell to be notified when I upload. So that is all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.